Hi, everyone. Welcome to Feminine Essence, and I'm here today with Cary Kirastar Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman, now being called one of the most important books on the planet. And truly, the information that she has to share is so important, and I'm so honored to call her my friend.
Thanks, Sass, for having me here. This is really exciting.
Thank you. So here's Cary. And
Yeah,
can you introduce yourself a little bit, Cary, and tell us just a bit about I guess, how you got to where you are now? Where you
sure. That's a big question.
Huge question. I know. Well, I
Yeah.
can ask you more questions, but generally.
I'll tell you a little secret that I think you'll like, and that is that I go by Cary Kirastar Ellis. And when I first did that, I felt kind of weird. I felt like, "Ooh, I want to adopt this other name. And are people going to think it's weird?" And that was like, I don't know, probably maybe 7 or 8 years ago when it really came to me. And in Japan, when you have a big change of your life, you change your name. People change their name sometimes several times in a lifetime. And when I heard that, I thought, "Oh, this is pretty cool. I can do this." And it was kind of like my soul was saying to me, I want to be Kira, or as we say I'm in a Spanish speaking country right now. People love it when I introduce myself as Kira. Kira is easier for them to say than Cary. And Cary feels to me like my old 3D name. It's what I went to work with, it's what I worked on all these projects with. And Kira feels like the essence of who I really am. It's like a softer, more flowing, more soul presence. And I know you know me as Kira. I always write, when we write back and forth, I go, Kira, because I wrote a screenplay called Dream Spell, The Awakening, which has yet to turn into something bigger. However, I'm thinking of actually putting it out as a book because it's such an amazing story. But in that, I had a flashback to Lemuria, where Lemuria was going down and I was a little girl. The volcanoes were erupting. I was a little girl and there was a little boy with me, and we wore a pendant, we each did, and we were on the shores of Lemuria because we were carriers of a seed. And I could hear my mother in the distance calling me, Kira. And that's where that name came from. So I feel like it's been one of my soul names throughout
You're kind
my
of
life.
wearing a Lemurian pendant right now.
Yeah, kind of a Lemurian pendant it is. It's like my favorite. My husband always says to me, I look at things, and I go, "Oh, I want one of these," and he'll say, "You've already got one of those." And I seem to get the same thing over and over, which is this spiral, and I just love it. And it's a shell that's cut into a spiral, into a slice, so you can see the spiral.
Yeah.
But anyway, you did ask about how I got started, how I decided to write my book. Is that kind of, and
Well,
I sidetracked on Kira a little bit because the name on my book,
great story of going into Lemuria. Okay, please continue.
yeah, Cary Kirastar Ellis is the name on my book. So I really had to I had been being told for years, write this book. And I even had a friend, we're coming out with the 3rd edition right now, and new cover art. The cover art is actually expanded to take up the whole cover, which it wasn't before, and it's so beautiful. You
Yeah,
got to see it. What did you think?
I love it.
It is just um, we're at this point where the book's been really out for 5 years, and we've done a lot of edits, and we're coming into the launching of the 3rd edition of the book with audios, a new cover, a lot of updates for it now, and it's really, really cool and fun. But I had been being told for a long time to write this book, so I had a dear friend who's an artist, and I would always tell her about it. And she started drawing. Her name is Francie. She started drawing this design that's on the cover now. And it first started out as a pencil drawing, and it just kept growing over the years. And I had a relationship end. I'd been living in Colorado for about 15 years and kind of on a sabbatical out there, snowboarding and mountain biking and running rivers. And my relationship ended, and I ended up caretaking a ranch. And the people who I was caretaking for said, "Oh, our girls are in college. We can't afford to pay you anymore. We think we're going to have to let you go." And I said, you know, that's okay, because I have this book that I really want to write. And the universe was just pushing on me. And that was in 2012. So the universe was just pushing me. And it's interesting because it was right at the same time the wave of Greg Braden really coming forward, Bruce Lipton, Michael Tellinger. They had all been doing things before that, but this really big wave, Sacha Stone started, and New Earth Nation, all these things started kind of happening in a really, it was like a movement, you know, like the universe was all moving forward, this voice. And I didn't have a lot of money. I had a little savings, and I went in my van to my friend Teddy's house, who's actually called contributor to the book, because we've been kind of collaboratively working for 30 years, although I was the one who wrote the book. And she and her housemate were both had a house in Michigan and Florida, and I went and sat there in my van, and from morning till night I would write the book. And I even had to wrap a scarf around my head to insulate me, kind of like the Sufis do. Is it the Sufis?
I remember.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And
people do that to insulate themselves and to hold their energy in.
Right. And that was a interesting thing. It was just like I was shown to do it. It wasn't something I kind of had any intellectual connection with, you know. And I would wake up in the morning and I would just write from morning until night. And it's like this was pouring through me. You'd almost call it a channeling, but I call it just myself, my higher self, whatever multidimensional beings who are all part of the collective that I'm part of. This information was just pouring through. And my friends would come and knock on my van door in the morning and say, "How are you today?" And I'd say, "Wow, I'm not the same person I was yesterday."
Because you've been writing all night.
Yeah, and I'd been writing this material that was transforming me. It was transforming how I saw myself and the world. And it's really...
It did transform you, and it brought you out. It brought that you that I always saw out. You know what I mean?
Because before that I was kind of hiding. I mean, I was hiding in what I felt like the culture wanted me to do, what the guys I was with wanted me to do, what I thought my family wanted me to do. And it's really our thoughts. You know, everybody is a reflection of our thoughts.
Type of safety, right?
Yes. Safety, being not too out of the ordinary in this world, although I was pretty out of the ordinary already. But it was a big step into, and I was scared when I was writing the book. Are people going to think I'm really strange because I'm writing this stuff? But it's really about ancient texts meeting quantum physics and how extra light is pouring into the planet. And we were always told that this would happen. And suddenly here we are in the day when it's happening. And so all these ancient texts have told us these things, and then quantum physics is teaching us that our thoughts literally create in this reality. So the book is kind of a compendium of that. It has a lot of quotes from different people that back up what I'm sharing. So it's not just me saying it. It's come from quantum physics. It's come from the ancient texts. It's really exciting material.
I remember when you were writing it, and there was something that came through as you were it was pouring out of you, and you actually had to do some research to find out what the heck it was. And then you learned about this whole new, what was it, the arc thing? There was an arc.
Oh yes, the arc of the Hess is what I ended up calling it. But I literally came to the book, to the computer one morning. I opened my computer to start writing, and I looked at the page and I went, I didn't write those words.
Oh, that's right.
And my computer hadn't been with anyone else. And I actually took this part out of the book initially, but on this third edition, I've put it back because it's so amazing. And there's a section in the book, it's about time. And it was a quote, and it said, there is no time. Let's see. Anyway, what the words that got put on the page were, there is no time, speak more to the arc of the Hess. And I was like, the arc of the Hess, what is this? And we literally called my van the spaceship. And then my friend Teddy, and we were at Sharon's house, I went and brought her the computer, and she doesn't even use the computer. And I said, there's no way you like type these words into my computer last night, is there? She said, come in here. And we went in a room out there that was her grandson's room, and we called it the spaceship room because there were so many multidimensional things happening. And so we sat on the bed together and we read this, speak more to the arc of the Hess. There is no time, speak more to the arc of the Hess. And we just went into these gales of laughter, which I call Shakti laughter. And, you know, when we go into amazing laughter, we activate endorphins, and they tell us in order, and I write about this in the book, in order to do remote viewing, we should be having fun. And so we were having fun. And I was asking myself, what does this mean? And Teddy was like, of course, there's no way I wrote that. A, I didn't have your computer, and B, I don't even know how to use it. And so I started skimming through Googling Hess. And the first thing I came up was the Hess Surfboard Company. The second thing I came up with was the Hess gas stations, which were a Jewish family after World War II that started the gas stations, and they started them in the Virgin Islands because they wanted to be out of the tax system. So that was really interesting. And then the third thing that I ran into was Rudolf Hess, who was an associate of Hitler's in World War II. But the picture I saw of him on the page when he was young, I said, that looks just like our friend who came from Germany and was born to a mother who got together with a German man during World War II, and he doesn't know who his dad is, and he was put in foster care. And I said, that looks just like our friend who has since passed on. And it made me start reading about Rudolf Hess, and all of a sudden I saw myself in an airplane flying over the green hills of Scotland and crash landing on the green hills of Scotland with the ocean off to the side. And wow, was that amazing? I'm like, what is going on? Right?
Whoa. You never told me all that. That's
It's a pretty cool story. And since you do HQQT, you know, and you're used to reading what people are getting from other levels of their consciousness, it makes perfect sense, I'm sure.
It does. It makes perfect sense. I mean, we're so multidimensional. And in fact, I really like how it seems that collectively we're all becoming aware of our future selves having an influence on us too.
Yes, absolutely.
I've been giving
Yes.
over to my future self because I saw an interview with someone named Enrique Villanueva, and he describes how to do it. And it's really interesting, and it works.
Nice. Well, so basically, yeah, that is really cool. And I think there's secrets there to what can change us. Well, I asked myself, why am I seeing myself crash landing over the green hills of Scotland? And I kept reading about Rudolf Hess. That's exactly what he did. He wanted to end the war. So he went and took flying lessons, flew across the Black Sea by himself and ran out of gas and crash landed on the green hills of Scotland. But he was going to go create a truce with England.
Did he live?
And he lived, and he was taken prisoner and just lived in prison in a like a lockdown house like his whole life. And his son spent his life trying to get him out of there, saying, my father, you know. And a little tidbit on this is Rudolf Hess consulted astrologers and psychics, and of course there was a lot of that in the Third Reich anyway, but Hitler killed 100 psychics around Rudolf Hess because he didn't want him consulting anybody. And
I think the history of the arc of the Hess.
Yes. So the arc of the Hess was, he ended up telling me through this process and what I was writing about right then, that the arc of the Hess is we can go into any time with love and we can change what happened in that time, including the concentration camps, including the persecution of people and wars and all these terrible things. If we bring love into these times, the arc of the Hess is that we can change them. And it's just like you say, going into our future lives. And we go into our future lives with love, and they can literally change the timeline or the trajectory that we're on right now.
Right. Oh my God. Okay. And a lot of people are talking about that, but you're the first person I ever heard talk about that, was the arc of the Hess. I mean, that was bringing through being able to change our future by changing our past, right?
Right. Exactly.
Change even our memories and do very deep healing for traumas and
Absolutely.
living it the way we would have liked it to be.
Right.
It would have been better for us. Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. I didn't know. Oh, this is a great conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
We knew it would be.
We did. I have more questions for you.
Okay.
La la la. Oh, well, there's two other topics I definitely want to cover while we're on this recording. And one is, yeah, so there's a lot of fear at the moment going on the planet. And I'm not sure. I mean, we can get into all the conspiracy stuff, but you're handling it in a really beautiful way. And could you kind of go into that? So I think that could really help people.
Well, we have a number of things going on right now, right? You know, one of them is the virus that begins with the name of a beer, right? Coronavirus. We have monetary and financial challenges, economic stress, governmental issues. So really the way that we live and what I love, I'm with a wonderful man who I really just got together with about 2.5 years ago. And can you hear that noise in the background? We have kind of a speaker in the background. Good. I just want to make sure you couldn't hear it. Anyway, I got together with my wonderful husband a couple of years ago after working with him for a couple of years online. And he and I are really on the same page. It's like having a real soulmate. We're really on the same page with our kind of our perceptions of how we see this life. And and he's in the middle of translating my books into Spanish. He's also the voice of the audiobooks, which is really exciting. He's got a fabulous audio voice. It's like listening to a wonderful deep voice, you know, reading the books. I said to him, people are going to like you better than me because they're going to feel like this book is coming from you, but that's okay. He's really a beautiful man, and he's here helping heal the masculine as well. But we talk every day about how, and we catch each other. If one of us starts even looking at anything that's negative, like he started saying to me all the time, that's not on my timeline. I would say, look at this, what they're saying. And he'd say, that's not on my timeline. And I was like, that's awesome, because he already understands how to implement all these things that I wrote about in my book. And I do too. I mean, these are things we've talked about for years and we're implementing. I call this is our journey of mastery today. Our journey of mastery is to learn that we are creators. We are fully the creator essence of God. And if you read my books, the first one is Shift of the Ages, and then the other three are Mind, Spirit, and Body. And it originally was one 500-page book, but that was too much to consume at one time. So now there are 4 books. The book is 4 books. And I believe that one coming after, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is Starseeds Guide to Planet Earth. So that'll be number 5. We're excited about that one. But meanwhile, everything that these books talk about, and a lot of it is even in the ancient Aramaic, is how we change our thought into love. We are creator beings designed to operate in love. And the first thing that changes us is breathing and smiling. And under any circumstances, in any situation, if you can just remind yourself to breathe and smile, you will change your neurobiology, and then you will change what is being mirrored to you in this world. Because we attract, as The Secret told us, 10 years ago, the fantastic movie The Secret and What the Bleep, both of those were great. And they taught us that whatever it is that we focus on is what's going to show up around us. This world is a mirroring mechanism. So if we have a whole collective that's afraid, that's living in fear, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that, we're going to get sick, what are we going to see around us? We're going to see experiences of that. However, if we just breathe and smile and say, I'm strong, healthy, and well, I'm vital, there is abundance flowing into my life in more ways than I could ask or think. And we have a beautiful meditation on this, which you could put the link under this video if you want, that is in Mark's voice. We have it on YouTube. with really beautiful images that are pictures I took in Colorado or other people that I know took. And, but it walks you through the process. It's a guided meditation to help clear that which is not of love, and to allow ourselves to go out of form into the field and to be reborn in new ways, in greater ways than we could ask or think, and to see ourselves as creators, turning this world into a creation of love. And so we all have many ways of doing that, and each one of our individual ways is so important.
Yeah.
Like what you would do or what I would do are probably slightly different. You know, what do you see in your world that you can change into love today?
Well, today I just need to change myself because I'm here in the States and there's a lot of, fear.
Right,
So I'm just
right.
trying to keep
But
my,
let's change that, Seth.
okay,
Let's just say not on our timeline.
not on my timeline. No,
That's right on, baby.
timeline's fun.
That's right. You
Right.
know, we don't have to do this. And we are, the truth is we are all one. We're part of this God essence that bursts into being in all these different individuations, which is each one of us and each of our beautiful personalities, and part of the journey. I say those of us who are the older starseeds,
Mhm.
like myself,
Mhm.
have had to crawl through the mud of humanity to get to this level of awakening. But we
Well,
have a lot of the younger ones coming in who don't even buy into the old system. I think you know a few of those where you live, right?
yeah. And I see the babies being born. They just
And
have,
the babies being born that look like little Buddhas and little
yeah.
magical beings from other dimensions.
And then
Yes.
when I hear
So,
the kids talking, I they're coming from such a different perspective that I'm trying to like wrap my head around or my heart or something to understand them because I don't even really, I mean, they fascinate me and I'm so grateful.
yes. Let's go into that in 1 second.
Yes, yes, yes.
But let us just say first, let's finish this thought about how we get this kind of clarity, because a lot of us have kind of crawled through the mud. We've come from these old programs. We're literally like a biocomputer, and we have old programs that need to be removed. So as we start getting ourselves, to grow beyond those old programs of self-doubt, of fear, of old creation. What I can say that I talk about in The Shift of the Ages, which is book 1 of 21st Century Superhuman, which we're just in the launch of this 3rd edition. There, I draw a curve, and we're coming out of a 26,000 year cycle of going into the darkness. Excuse me, let me do it this way: going into the darkness and coming up to the same level that Atlantis was at. And
Mhm.
now we're going up into 26,000 years of light. Are we going to make it? Of course we're going to make it. There's no turning back. There's no way we're not going to make it. But right now we're in the chaos, what appears to be chaos of that change. It's like when the tide turns at the edge of the ocean and everything is stirred up. And it's like everything has to be stirred up in order to be born anew. And we are the salt in the soup. We are the herbs and spices. It is our ability to wrap love around this change, to breathe, smile, and envision the goodness being born that is going to bring this new world into being. And I really get hope when I talk to the young starseeds. More than hope, I get knowing,
Mhm.
because they're coming in without so many of the old programs, and they're coming in ready to carry forward this new frame of reference, which is a world founded in love, a world where there's enough, a world where everyone is taken care of. I mean, let us live in nothing else, because that is what we're moving into. And if we can know that in our hearts and we can live that every moment, we are the change we wish to see, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We are the
As
change.
Gandhi said, one of the really early star seeds,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like, oh, for sure. I've always known I'm a bridge and I never, but
Yes,
now I'm a bridge. I was born in definitely the old paradigm,
yes,
but I was a knowing starseed. And so
yes,
I'm like going through it going, whoa, this is weird. But now what I feel like I do just by my presence is I'm helping the new, I don't know, I guess, what am I doing? Connecting the old and the new? What is a bridge? Actually, there's a lot of people that are bridges. What is
You're
it?
a beautiful, radiant being.
What is
And I
it?
always say it's kind of like, when you stand in a circle, everybody's in a circle holding hands
Yeah.
and they start rocking. And then you're the one in between the ones going that way and the ones going this way. And you have to kind of even it out.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. Yes.
Yeah, we're kind of like step down transformers of that new energy, and we're helping it be understood by those, because many people in the old culture and coming from the old programs are now waking up. This is the
Why,
great awakening.
why was it important to have it? I mean, I guess it's important. Okay, I already know. I know. Let's talk about you. I
This is
was,
a good conversation, though.
yeah, it is. It's very interesting.
Yes, very important.
So when I first met you, which was in 1999.
Right before Y2K, right?
Yeah.
In Mount Shasta.
Yeah, Jazz.
Magical place.
Such a magical,
Yes.
it was a magical summer for me.
Magical time. Yes. We were with the people of the I Am teachings and Eric, what's his last name? Eric Berglund, and a really beautiful soul who transmitted a lot of things, who's now in other dimensions helping us from the other side.
Mhm.
That's another thing, is letting go of this fear of death that we have and knowing death doesn't really exist when we transition from this body, or maybe we'll be able to raise ourselves enough to live in light bodies that are able to multidimensionally be here. And then Matisha was a great musician. There were so many really cool musicians and people in Mount Shasta at that time. Very wonderful.
Wasn't Jazz Muheen there that summer?
Jazz Muheen was there. I actually traded for being at the big conference by making food for a group of the speakers that were staying in one of the houses. And she was one of the people who wasn't eating. She was staying in the house.
That's cool.
Yes.
So, and then that summer, I remember one day you and I were going to some kind of drumming circle, and you started talking to me about being a starseed, and you're the first person that like literally ever talked to me about being a star.
Wow. Was I really talking about starseeds way back then?
Were, and I always knew.
Rock on.
I always knew. I just knew, but
Yes.
I'd never had anyone like talk to me about it. And since I've known you for so long, you always tell me about, you run into people and you talk to them about being star seeds, and you've helped a lot of people realize, that that little inkling they have is actually true. And
Yes.
yeah. So can you elaborate a bit on your new book on star seeds and what you know about star seeds, and just any
Yes.
might be
The
one.
new book is in process right now,
Yes.
but this is something I do talk about all the time.
Why?
We actually live in a place that's a gathering place, and young starseeds and starseeds of all ages come here from around the world, which is amazing. And we'll be doing retreats here as well. That'll be on my new website, which is getting ready to rise from the ashes very soon. And we'll have some trips on there where people can come and hang out with us and be in a portal where the multi-dimensional levels of our being are being activated. So we are multi-dimensional beings. Let's just say that. We are not just this dense physical 3D being. And part of that is our soul. Part of it is levels of us that exist beyond the physical. And I say that star seeds are literally, there's physical evidence of this, where brain tests have been done, and young people are coming into the planet with more areas of their brain already turned on and open and awake. So they have the ability to capacitate a greater knowledge, a greater understanding of life. And those of us who are the early star seeds, and there were really early star seeds who were born in the early 1900s and carried forward spiritualism and psychic phenomena, and then later in the later 1900s, all of this great awakening that went on, a lot of it starting in like the 1960s with the bra burnings and the free love and Woodstock and all of that. And people started waking up from, we're not just little rats on wheels that have to go to some job every day and run a sewing machine or a machine, or and not be connected to who we really are. And people started waking up. And then of course psychedelics, began activating the pineal gland and getting people to produce more DMT. And producing more DMT is what helps us see our multidimensionality. It helps us see our oneness. When we can see ourselves as one, we can see that every person who shows up in our world is actually a reflection of something inside of us. And when we can look at that, it's easier to bless various situations. It's easier to let go of our old programming. And so as we let go of that old programming, so the earlier starseeds had to grow through old programming, which was kind of a suppressed human culture, which we came in to be awakeners in. You felt that your whole life. I have felt it my whole life. And I know there's many others on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So beyond that, then these young ones are coming in, many ones, from the babies, the teenagers, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, even the 40-year-olds, who are at all different levels of more of their brain turned on. And I say they come from other dimensions, they come from other planets. They've chosen to embody as humans because it's the only way you can get to Earth. And they've chosen to come in to help with this change.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we all are together, and we have these beautiful young people. I'm sure anyone who's got children, grandchildren, babies showing up in their lives can see the magic of these young beings. And we need to honor their wishes. What they choose to eat may be important. How they want to play may be important. Whether they want to go to school or not, or go to a new kind of school, such as a Montessori or a Waldorf or a world school. I even have a friend who's doing world school now. Her 14-year-old son said, "Mom, I want to go travel the world." And they started doing that and bringing together other kids who wanted to do that. And now they have something called World School. And they go into maybe a Mayan community and live there for 2 weeks or a month. And they get taught by the Mayan people and the elders. And so they're getting to awaken their own creativity, their connection with life, reading maps. So there's so many ways these young people are coming in actually to teach us how to open more, how to awaken more, and become what we're capable of being. So all of these things kind of blend together, letting go of the old programs, merging with the new, activating new timelines with breathing and centering in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to put two things together. I really feel that the connection to the earth and connects us to the whole universe, connects us to that side of ourselves, which is really important. And that's something I really like about the cover of your book, because it shows you,
Yes.
that being who's fully connected into her essence, into the earth, into...
And I call her Mother Gaia, or the Mother Gaia in all of us, kind of, you know.
But she looks like you. But yeah.
You know, I just realized that the other day, and I never really thought about that. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you, with doing HQQT SES, you are also getting in touch with people's multidimensionality, right?
Oh yeah, I had this amazing woman come through, and she said, I'm from the belt of Orion, the star on the right, it's called Mintaka. And so we end up doing the session. One, it was an earth life. The second one was, she was a bird being. She had like
wow,
lived up in this, and it was like a water planet, right? And
Ken Cary's The Return of the Bird Tribes.
Right. And then she started doing research. It turned out behind that star, there's a planet called Artuvia.
Wow.
And did a second session. We went and revisited, and then we're gonna actually maybe put some information out, maybe on YouTube, or maybe write it.
Nice. And what is bird in Spanish?
Pájaro.
Pájaro. Well, but what about Avian? What's the name of the planet she's coming up with?
Or Ave.
Ave. So I would take these connections, you know, there's energetic connections there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. And then one night,
there's a bird behind you. A bird went.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of birds flying around here. So, and my husband one night, I was like started kind of talking in my sleep, and he started doing kind of an HQQT session with me, and I was going back and forth from Earth to like a celestial city, and he asked me where it was, and I said Aldebaran. And I would never have in my conscious mind had any idea of that. And Aldebaran is right over us every single night right now. And we go outside and there's Orion and Sirius to the left and Aldebaran to the right. And so, you know, it's amazing how we can open ourselves up to these things.
Can I tell a quick little story?
Yeah, please.
So I had a session, and I was like looking at my body. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so skinny. Am I a cricket? I'm so small. What am I? And then I was brought to my home, and I had a little wife. So I was a male. I had a little wife, and she was a little chubby, and she was cooking. And then a little child. And then it's like, what do you do for work? And then I saw myself going zip, 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 all through the forest. Right. You know, I was a fairy. I'm a fairy.
Oh, how cool.
I thought I was a fairy. So I'm somehow connected to fairies. So I know this is such a multidimensional world. So anyway.
Yes. I could totally see you connected to the fairies.
Yeah, and I don't think they die. I don't really.
No, you're so magical though. You just like I always see lights around you. Beautiful
You too.
radiance.
Yeah. Well, I was just, I mean, I guess it's just interesting to share that there's so much opening up to us as our solar system is going into this part of the universe where there's so much more light, which is why we are going to be moving into the light, which is why it looks a little bit chaotic right now, because some
That's
people
right.
in control don't like losing it.
It's the tumbling of the change. And
Yeah.
it's okay. It's all good. And our mastery is to just be okay with that and love it and
So
be thankful.
another question for you. We all know that the feminine is emerging, right? And that's why I created this channel, was because I wanted to inspire women with women who I'm inspired by. Like
And
you.
the wind blows as you speak that.
So beautiful. And so
Yes.
what do you see happening in terms of the feminine on the earth right now, or anywhere you want to say that?
Well, I see the masculine and feminine together as a really beautiful, it's like the yin yang symbol, you know, it's just a beautiful, perfect balance. And I've been into teaching plasma energy for the last 5 years. And I traveled around the United States and South Africa teaching it, Swaziland, which was really cool and fun. And we'll have classes at my website, Plasma at Home. But what I learned from that is everything in this dimension is set up with magnetic and gravitational fields. And the masculine and feminine are magnetic and gravitational fields. And so when you put them together, you have a perfect whole, you have a perfect balance. And I believe the feminine is coming into its strength, but it's also coming into its receptivity. And the masculine, what I see with my husband and all the men that he works with, he's worked some with the Mankind Project, and then he's working on some of his own projects for the masculine, and that men are learning. He says the feminine is saying, where are the men? And the men truly coming into their divine masculine, their kindness, their ability to take care of those around them, the ability to walk their talk and blend with the feminine and understand the feminine and allow her to be the ocean that she is and not be limited, because the woman is this constant ocean of this flow of creativity, and the masculine is like the land around the ocean. He's the stability around that water, and we both need to be able to play our parts, and that's what's so beautiful. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. And the wind is blowing more. We talk about in Jedi training at 21st Century Superhuman, the elements connect with us. And I notice when we are speaking truth, we'll feel the wind begin to blow through the trees. It's really a beautiful sign to look for. So I guess that's my thought about the feminine. And I think even if a woman is not with a partner, she can still allow herself to be truly feminine, enter into her creativity, her joy, her beauty, her colorfulness, and she can blend that with the men that she knows, and and seek out men who are learning to trust their divine masculine as well. And I know that population is really growing on the planet, so it's very beautiful. It's like a big wave.
Thank you. Yeah. I remember being like 25 and thinking, well, I can either wear these suits to work or I'm going to be a woman. And I decided to be a woman, but it seems like sometimes to get ahead in this male or what was a male dominated world, we kind of had to go about it as men or kind of like men. And
Right,
that's not the way for us to be, but that's kind of like,
right.
we know, and we don't have to be like that. We can be.
Agreed. I think it's kind of like when I say they expected us to do this. My correction of that within myself is there is no they. Everyone is me. Everyone is part of me. So I thought they expected me to do that.
Mhm.
Now my new thing is, what do I expect myself to do? What do
Oh,
I really want to do in my heart? What do I choose to do?
mhm.
What is my deepest desire? And maybe when a woman quits wearing suits, she'll find another path. She'll go to a tropical island and be a bartender. I don't know. I mean, you
Like,
know,
yeah. So I have
not that I drink, but I mean, it's like there are so many magical lives we can enter into at this point. You know, we can walk down a new path at any moment.
like, look at you. You moved from Colorado. All of a sudden, you're writing your book in a van, and now you're living in the Yucatan after
Right.
you traveled the world, following your dream.
Yes.
It was so magical
Yes.
journey, and that is so
Yes.
inspiring to me. So,
Absolutely.
so for people that are, I have a few things. Like, if someone, how does someone know they're a starseed? How do they know?
Well, it's interesting because when we talk to people that are stars, we feel like part of our journey is to help them affirm that what they know in their hearts is true. And I think if every person just would really listen to their heart, they will know that there's truth in there and to live that, even if it seems completely out of character with the world or with what we think the world expects of us or what we think our families expect of us, and to trust that there will be all these supernatural, serendipitous things that happen to allow us living that experience to come into being. I think that's the most important thing, knowing, listening to our hearts. And I think when people do that, I know when people do that, that they'll hear, they'll hear the truth for themselves.
Our magic to the world by listening to our.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I heard something really cool. He's a doctor, but he's really into the alternative frequency types of medicines right now that are helping, heal people. And he said, just remember this. 'Cause he started talking. I was at a party and he was talking to me, and he said, look at the heart is magnetic. The mind is.
Yes.
So if you
Very good.
stay in the heart, you magnetize everything you want. But if you
Well,
get.
and everything, yeah, everything Greg Braden is teaching right now is the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. So getting out of our heads and being in our hearts, right, which is magnetic, and the brain is the electricity that makes everything happen, our thoughts, but our thoughts need to be harmonized with that magnetism of our heart. So when we go into the heart, we listen to what our heart tells us. We have a really good friend here who, beautiful young man, dreadlocks down to below his waist, he's uh, a sailing captain here. And I said, well, what do you dream of doing in your life? And he said, I want to go live on all the beaches in the world. He said, I used to have goals, but I gave those up. And now I want to leave something good here where I am, and I want to go live on all the beaches in the world. And I said, you do that because your energy may be needed on the planetary grid in all those places. So what is your truth? What is your knowing? Maybe your knowing is to open a juice bar in the community that you live in. Maybe your knowing is to raise your children. I mean, it's different for everyone.
And it can
But
change.
yes, but if something doesn't feel good to us and we keep doing it, we need to create a change there. That's the biggest message. If we're sick, we're carrying around old programs. I mean, sickness is part of, I saw something the other day, fear is the virus. Fear is the virus. The virus isn't the virus. Fear is the virus. And if we don't listen our body is just a mechanism. It's a carrier mechanism for our soul and our heart, and it gives us feedback. It says, ouch, I hurt. This doesn't feel good. What you're doing doesn't feel good. Please change it. Please listen better. Please pay attention. And that's how we get on our true path.
Thank you. That's so.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Any wisdom regarding? I mean, that was the best. But
yeah, I think we covered a lot. And really, for me, it always just goes back to breathe, smile, and love, and laugh. Listen to your heart and follow your path.
Thank you.
That's the walk of mastery in this world.
Thank you, Kira.
Love you, my dear sister.
Love
my
you.
dear sister.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you for joining us.